Just comb your hair, go and wash your face. It's been a real long time since you've seen the light of day. So let thoughts come as they may, beauty and parade. Everybody all smiles when you're back in the seat again. All aboard the Petty Express to a beautiful darkness. It's full steam ahead to ride the rails to our next destination. Yeah!
Howdy, y'all. It's Mo, your conductress on the Petty Express, and who better to pick on a Saturday than Lori Daybell, the doomsday mom, the crazy, mighty morphin power Mormon. And she's a translated being. I'm sure we're going to hear a lot because she is pro se. It is going to be about a 2-hour stream today because it is prom night. So we are Twitter pated. We are looking for flowers. We are just about at our wits' end. Actually, I'm kidding. My girls are actually really, really good at this girl stuff and getting things planned. So they are all good. I'm the one that's like, oh, my babies look so beautiful. Look, it's going to be all the Kleenexes and all the embarrassing. Thank you, Wolfram, for doing your Modly Mod duties. Tammy Bogart, welcome. Alice G. And you guys, let's get this started. We are going to start with the opening statement from the state. I am pretty interested because, for a long time, Charles' death was considered self-defense. So I do kind of want to listen to what made them change their mind. What evidence did they find that, led them into conspiracy? Because that's kind of what really interests me about this case, not to mention Lori Vallow is pro se and what an ish show that's going to be. But more, I want to see how Arizona kind of evolved from this, okay, we're going to take Alex Cox at his word, to Lori is all the guilty and doy. I mean, honestly, if anyone voted on innocence for Lori, I think it was Lori, and she was that one person. And thank you so much, Tammy. You're looking gorgeous today, and my baby graduated from Baker College Vet Tech today. Awesome. I I wish I had the patience and skill to work with animals, but I kind of tend to faint around blood, so that just never would have worked out. To be fair, I did go to college to become a surgical tech, which is about like me going to college for IT. But it still led me on an interesting journey, and I learned some medical stuff. Just enough to be dangerous.
So I'm going to need you to stay close to me the next couple days. Mel, too. She can't go to Utah. They're planking some kind of intervention, but want Mel out of the way, so I'm left alone. I need to come get the stuff at your house tomorrow and secure.
Intervention. Let's be real, y'all. Let's be real. Lori didn't need an intervention. She needed one of those, those wild animal darts where they find a bear like attacking a car and they dart it and then they put it in a rehabilitation center. That's what we needed to do with Lori. Because honest to God, if Lori wasn't cray cray, didn't hurt anyone, and just had a YouTube channel, I would watch the ever living heck out of this. Again, don't choose crime. Get your own YouTube channel if your life is an ish show, because I will watch the ever living hell out of it. That being said, she did choose the dark side. So here we are.
Hear it. Lots to do. Thanks for standing by me. It's all coming to a head this week. I will be like Nephi, I am told, and so will you. Lori Daybell, the woman seated over here, wrote this to her brother, Alex Cox, on July 9th of 2019, 2 days before.
I think we have all learned from the cringe-tastic Sahara drying and possible fertility reversal that, negates the low testosterone and estrogen that people are currently finding. If The text messages yesterday weren't an answer for birth control and overpopulation. I don't know. But then again, I'm being told that we don't have enough people, so uh, let's just say those text messages didn't help anyone. But just if you're new here, don't write anything about your crime in text messages because they can be found. I suggest learning Morse code, but that's or cursive. I mean, that's just me because by the time that, all the Zoomers get into, Fed positions, I'll just write things in cursive and they'll be lost. That being said, do not take any criminal advice from me.
Before they killed Charles Vallow. But to understand why this is so meaningful, why this is relevant, you have to understand the context. So let's talk about it. In July of 2019, Lori Vallow was married to Charles Vallow. Lori Vallow lived here in Arizona, Chandler. Charles Vallow lived in Texas.
Oh my God, can we just take a minute to praise a lawyer who doesn't sound like they're from Massachusetts and doesn't apparently have like a hate boner for humanity? I mean, honestly, Hank, if you go up looking like this, everyone's just going to think you're a dick. Oh my God, a prosecutor who doesn't sound like an ever loving, well, tea waffle. I mean, maybe she is, but she doesn't come across just like a normal lawyer. The Karen Reed case has almost broken me, and it's only well, we're done with week 3. But thank you, lady attorney, for not being a giant cahoot. I needed it. I needed a lawyer that would restore my faith in lawyers, and you have so far.
In July of 2019, Lori Daybell was Lori Vallow, married to Charles Vallow. In July of 2019, Lori Vallow wanted to be Lori Daybell, wife of Chad.
Again, I need the Coles cast math on this. Lori, look, I don't promise not to make fun of you, but if you call me and explain to me with a side by side pictorial demonstration of both men why you wanted Chad Dorkbell, just make it make sense because it doesn't even girl math to me. It doesn't even make sense like you got him on clearance. He was a little dinged up and, something. Just what in the world did you see in Chad Dorkbell? I need to know. Look, none of this makes sense, but that is the most nonsensical thing of this whole thing. Charles, bald, handsome, silver fox. Chad Dorkbell looks like God put him together while blinded and using Legos. Never made sense to me.
Daybell. And in July of 2019, Lori Vallow.
My dad's from New Hampshire, so it's kind of comforting to hear like I saw. It's really weird. It's like I starred or yeah, or ka or idea is I love that. You saw a car. It it comforts me because some of my dad has worked hard to kind of ameliorate his accent, but there are some words that it's kind of like, oh my gosh, I miss my dad. So it is nice. I do like the New Hampshire. It just reminds me of home and my grandma. But Massachusetts, I don't know. Look, I get that, different areas aren't going to be as friendly as the Midwest, but all the Karen Reed trial has done has reminded me that I never want to go to Massachusetts ever. Like ever. Never, never, ever. I'm sorry, Miss Jackson. I'm for real.
Wanted to keep the same lifestyle that she had with Charles. And she could get all of this if Charles was dead. She could marry Chad Daybell and become Lori Daybell. She would get $1 million life insurance policy from Charles Vallow. She would get Social Security for herself and their son, JJ.
Y'all, not for nothing, not for nothing. I don't like drama in my own life, but if they invented a time machine And I do mean this literally because I would never ever use it for, like, important stuff. If they invented a time machine, I would 88 miles, whatever gigawatts back to the future to the moment, the exact time and place when Lori Vallow learned that she had been taken off the benefit thing. I mean, honest to God, I would sit there with popcorn. I'd have like a Tito's cooler. I would be just there watching her lose her mind. And the sad thing is she was more upset about losing that money than losing her children. So I'd probably take care of business, if you know what I mean. That being said, that's why I cannot be entrusted with time travel powers. I'd go back, I'd go save Ganon, I'd go save, uh, oh gosh, I'd go save Evelyn, I'd go save all the kids, and they'd come live with me. That being said, I'd also probably smack some people too. Again, great power, great responsibility. Me going back to, Will Smith, some people, possibly not the greatest use of human power.
As a child of a dead spouse. And all of this would be true if Charles Vallow was dead. So what about Nephi? Well, Lori Vallow, Chad Daybell, and Alex Cox all believed that those who disagreed with them were dark, possessed by evil spirits, sometimes called Z's.
I mean, I think people that don't agree with me just see things differently. Well, and some of them are morons, but for the most part, okay. Then again, I'm not trying to run a cult yet.
Soup done.
Or zombies. Sometimes they had names for these evil spirits like Ned. Lori, Chad, and Alex used religion, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and a story of Nephi, a prophet, who was directed by the Holy Spirit to kill Laban, to obtain brass plates and secure the long-term prosperity of Nephi's descendants. Lori used this religion and the story of Nephi as justification to.
Okay, as I have always said, I am not a Latter-day Saintologist, but I do know that in the sort of Genesis story of the Church of Latter-day Saints, Joseph Smith found several plates that contained the knowledge of Jesus taking a detour before heaven to come to, I think, Missouri or Minnesota. And, talk to all the native. Look, I don't know. I tried, y'all. I tried to learn about LDS, but there are so many books and like base knowledge characters that I don't know, and I didn't really want to spend all that much time with it. I was like, "How many books do you have?" Daggone it. But it is sick and sad, and this is my worry. So follow me on a little bit of a tangent, but here is my kind of theory as to why we are seeing this a lot in the LDS church. And this is from an outsider. I don't have a lot of knowledge. So with all of those kind of preconditions in place, there is a great emphasis on your personal connection with, the Lord and, kind of messages, sort of divine messages that you get to help you with your life. And when you're in a religion that cultivates that, it is a bit worrisome if you have someone who wants to use it for personal gain. Because if you don't have discernment or something that kind of tests all these sort of theories, then you are very vulnerable to a charismatic person who says, "Nope, I got a spiritual, kind of acknowledgement, and this is what you're supposed to be learning." Now, that being said, that can happen in any religion or, group or cult or anything. So it's not exclusive, but I have noticed that there is kind of a lot of, emphasis on your personal sort of providence and, kind of a belief in spiritual guidance that can come in the form of visions or messages or, signs, which is all Look, I don't know enough about this to be talking, but that's just my personal theory. To be honest, who knows? Maybe it's like the thing where you always have, it's kind of a mix of everything, but we just hear about the ones because they're more kind of media big.
Killed Charles Vallow, just like Nephi killed Laban. On July 9th of 2019, Lori Vallow invoked Nephi when she messaged Alex to provide them with that religious authority.
Now, the sad thing is that Charles Vallow actually converted from Catholicism to the Church of Latter-day Saints, so he would have understood this context, what Nephi meant, what Laban meant, and all of this. So while it's Greek to most of us, he understood the threat inherent in here. And the most heartbreaking video for me, in this particular case is when Charles is talking to, I think on body cam, and he is just desperately trying to, get someone to listen. She is around the corner. She has gone off and no one listens to him. I mean, he's talking to his lawyer. He is talking to anyone and no one listens because she can put on a mask. Most monsters can, and it's just so daggone, upsetting to me.
To kill Charles. After months of trying to get rid of him, they were finally ready to be like Nephi. So how did this begin? We go back to 2018. Lori Vallow met Chad Daybell. You will learn that in November of 2018, that Chad Daybell came to Arizona for a Preparing the People conference. And he and others stayed at Lori and Chad's house. Charles was actually out of town with JJ. Lori and Chad acted as if there was nothing between them, but nothing could be further from the truth. By January of 2019, Lori Vallow claimed that Charles Vallow was possessed by an evil spirit that she called Ned. You will see text messages where Lori and Alex refer to him as Ned. During this trial, you're going to hear from some women who initially were close in Lori's circle. These women will tell you they met her through the Preparing the People conference. They are spiritual women within the LDS church. And initially they found Lori's spirituality infectious. But the more they listened to Lori, the more they started to find concern with what she was saying. One of them called it red flag.
Godoy, again, you hear, no, everything's going great. I'm preparing for, the 40 or 140,000 or whatever number it is. My brain's a little spaced out on details on that one, but they're like, no, we're going to be Latter-day Saints for real, for reals. Pay no attention to all the crazy Harry Potter magic and the, closet portals and craziness. One or two people said red flags. I mean, no one read. I am this tempted to get all of Dork Bell's books and read them, just roast the ever-living hell out of them. But I loathe spending money on that numbnuts. Anyhow, I don't know where that train was going. She just ticks me off.
Flags. Lori began saying things like she didn't need to repent, that she was beyond that. And you'll hear from these women that goes against everything.
Wait a minute, ma'am. As a recovering Catholic, how do I get access to this whole lack of guilt thing? Asking for a me. How do you just absolve yourself of all guilt? I mean, honestly, I don't know if that's particularly possible. Then again, I have felt guilty since I was born, so who knows? Yeah, Jedi, which is why when I am Empress of the world for 1 year only, I will give people access in certain occasions to those, animal safety darts.
That their religion follows. Everyone must repent. You will hear from Serena Sharp that in March of 2019, she attended a girls' weekend with Lori and some other women. They went to the temple, they had lunch, they did volunteer activities, and then Lori asked them to do something a little unusual. She told them that her husband was possessed by an evil spirit, and she referred to that as Ned. She told them that Charles was no longer in his body. She asked them to come together and try to cast out this evil spirit.
I'm just gonna guess how this phone call. Oh, hey, Lori, how you doing, sweetheart? I haven't heard from you. Are you okay? I've been praying for you, sweetheart. Oh, well, Ned, this guy named Ned has taken over my husband. Can you come do a seance with me? And no one said, boop, do, 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 do. Hello, not emergency number. My friend is talking about her husband being possessed and would like me to do a practical magic, seance thing with her. I'm not saying there's an issue, but I'm a little freaked out. I mean, who sees that text and is like, RSVP, yes, I'll bring my own broom? I mean, to be fair, I probably would if it was the practical magic house. I want to live in the practical magic house. Anything else, I'm okay with, but still, bring my dustbuster too.
Serena will tell you that she didn't ask Lori what would
I
happen.
am
to
so
Charles.
sorry, Tammy. Take
That
rest.
evil spirit went. She only knew that she had said Charles was already gone. She didn't know if he would come back or his body would just die. Later that month.
Okay, wait a minute. Hold up. So you get said invitation to said clairvoyant possession exorcism from the LDS Church. I don't know if they have them, but this is essentially what Lori is inviting them to. With the foreknowledge that should you be successful at, exorcising this incredibly evil spirit, Charles could die or be okay. But Lori isn't quite sure. Again, I am RSVPing no. I am an indoor cat. I don't get out of my house for many reasons, so but still, again, how do you take that invite with all of those things, those prerequisites, already planned out? Because I'm gonna need to see the people that said, "Count me in, sister. I'm there. We're ride or die." Because you need to be on a list.
Month on March 26th of 2019, Alex Cox texted his sister, Lori Vallow, and said, quote, Ned is still alive, just confirmed. Lori responded, it's not Ned. It's a new one. Ned is gone. No one has seen him, right? Just talk to him, question mark. Alex said, correct. Charles' body is alive. What did you learn, question mark? And Lori responded, a lot. Still.
Jedi Jess, Mo, just wait. I don't think these ladies really knew what was fully going on. I believe she fed them. Okay, yeah, but still, once I figured out that there was a 50-50 chance that I could be a co-conspirator to spiritual murder, I'm out. Like, I'm ride or die, but I'm not getting you bail money, and I'm not sitting in orange unless we're Thelma and Louise. So, I have your back way back. Like, I'll call your husband. But fair point, Jedi Jess.
Working on it. We'll call you later. As the year went by, Lori and Alex became more determined to get rid of Charles Vallow's body, whatever they wanted to call him. You will hear from Christina Atwood that she attended a gathering on June 9th of 2019. Again with Lori and some close friends, but this time Alex Cox attended. This was the first time she had met him. Christina will tell you that she heard Alex say that he just wanted to kill Charles. In fact, she heard him.
I don't know who needs to hear this, but we also don't talk about our crimes in an open, setting among people who might narc on you. We're supposed to be suspicious. Dear Lord, it is like a giant freaking conspiracy of stupid. These 2 couldn't crime stealthily if they tried, and unfortunately, it succeeded for them. Why can't they be one of those people that calls a hitman that is a cop? Seriously.
Say this a couple times. And she heard Lori say in response that she had been drugging Charles, crushing up JJ's pills and putting them in Charles's protein drinks. Christina will tell you she was so
I hear that. And since I don't wanna be an accessory to nothing, because if I'm not putting the body in myself, I ain't going down for this. Boop, 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 boop. Non-emergency number? Hey, look, I don't wanna be a narky-narky-tin, and I understand what happens to snitches, but this heifer just confessed to crushing up pills in his protein shake, and I don't wanna be no part of this, okay? But I'm just telling you, she's trying to Bill Cosby him, alright? Pleek.
disturbed by this that she actually went and confronted Lori the next day and told her that if Charles ended up dead, she would have to go to the police. That's how disturbed she was. Now, Lori, of course, said it was all a joke. What else could she say? But 1 month later, Alex and Lori created that situation to be like Nephi and killed Charles. What about Charles? You're going to learn that Charles and Lori have been together for a long time.
Yeah, that's the part that really bothers me. Again, these women that were in the inner circle of preparing a people. Now, I do understand that preparing a people has distanced themselves from Lori and Chad, but these women who were on the inner circle, Melanie Gibbs, this woman, they had to be actively almost like pulling teeth to get them to talk. They didn't go before things. When things started red flagging all over the place, when they were actively talking about getting rid of dark people, they didn't get out. And I do understand that there is a complex blend of interdependence, love bombing, and a lot of things that go into these very cult fringe sort of things. So I'm trying to, give them grace, but I also it just if someone had been brave, it is such a hindsight 2020 thing where you think if only someone had done a small brave act of, calling the police or confronting or telling Charles, it's oh gosh, well, Dan Davis, be very careful. I hope you have a safe place you can go and, keep things battened down.
They had adopted one of Charles's family members' children, JJ. JJ was everything to Charles. JJ was the reason Charles and Lori were still together. You'll learn that Charles knew about Lori's beliefs, that he was called Nick or Ned or some name. You will learn that Charles told a lot of people about this. And on February 26th of 2019, Charles made a big decision. He had $1 million life insurance policy.
Jedi Jess, so this had to do with the way the Mormon church is. If they aren't careful, they get excommunicated. You also have to understand that there are Mormon church members and leaders in police and court. Yeah, it does seem that if you look it up, and there's a former Mormon that I do follow, I like learning about other religions, even if I don't quite understand them, because I want to understand at least their perspective. Now, she is not a very big fan of the church, which I can understand that lens, but there is a lot of hierarchy, and it does seem in heavily LDS areas, they're kind of at every stage of the power thing. So, and I do understand that the LDS church does struggle with sort of legitimacy. A lot of people see it as not even related to mainstream Christianity, its own thing. So they are struggling with that sort of, we want to be more mainstream, we wanna be more seem more Christian. It's and they have just as much, issues with this kind of thing as the Catholic Church does, in fact, maybe more because it is so ignored. Again, every LDS member I have ever met seems happy, seems fulfilled, and seems very sweet, and so, while I may have issues with the greater church and how it's set up and a lot of things, individually, every LDS member I have ever met has been kind and giving and sweet. So, whatever problems I have with the church at large, I respect that they are all generally nice. Now, Lori is a cahoon, but you always have cahoons everywhere. Yeah, it is a bit like shunning. You lose your recommend, you aren't allowed to go to temple, you can't do any of the rites. I think you lose your access to the priesthood if you're male. You basically lose all your friends. It is sad that uh, there's not a lot of support there.
And his wife, Lori Vallow, had been the beneficiary. He changed it. He changed it to his sister, Kay Woodcock. You will learn he did not have to notify Lori about it, and she had no idea. You'll learn that Charles desperately wanted to bring Lori back to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. You will learn that he was close with Lori's brother, Adam, and he was reaching out to him during this time period. You will hear from Adam. Adam will tell you that he himself had heard the defendant say things that were outside the LDS religion, that she was translated. Charles was possessed. He knew she was no longer following the LDS faith.
Now, I do believe that Chad was excommunicated for his very fringe beliefs. So I believe he had lost all of his recommend and everything like that. And the books were not sort of LDS approved. If you look, a lot of your favorite authors, I believe the Twilight series, Wheel of Time, there are many famous LDS authors, a lot in, science fiction and things like that. So I do believe that Chad's books were way outside the doctrine, as far as what he believed and what he was talking about, his special abilities because he had gone beyond the veil.
Then, June 28th,
Thank you, G14. I'm not
Charles
totally
found
up
out
on this
that
case.
Lori and Chad were having an affair.
Well, that's not
You will hear that
haram.
he reached out to Lori about it, Chad's wife, and out to Adam Cox.
Or that's haram.
Now, you're going to hear about a lot of these things because the police executed numerous search warrants. You're going to hear that they executed search warrants on cell phone records, cell tower records, and iCloud accounts. You're going to learn.
Do not call Mr. Whiffen. I will protest. I don't want to hear one more GD thing about where a phone is, what Apple does, what Cellbrite does. Don't want to. We'll skip over those parts if they're in this trial. You know the Petty Express. We fast forward when it irritates the leg.
And that an iCloud account is basically a service through Apple where you can store everything, photos, emails, documents, whatever you want. This can be intentional, or sometimes it can be unintentional. Your phone or your computer may be saving items there without you even realizing it. You'll learn that for years, Lori Vallow had an iCloud account that was loriforstyle@icloud.com. But after Charles learned about Chad Daybell on that June 28th, she created a new iCloud account, lollytime@icloud account. Many of these text messages.
Lolly time? Is she a lolly, Lolita kink kind of chick? Ew. Ew, ew. Now I just have this mental image of Lori in sort of the Lolita look. Ugh. And Chad Dorkbell trying to be a dom. Ugh.
Between Lori and others that you're going to hear about at trial were recovered from those two iCloud accounts. You're also going to learn about Charles's cell phone. The police eventually recovered it, and they were able to extract the data, look at the messages and things that had been in there. And you're going to learn about those text messages with Adam Cox from July 9th through the 11th. You're going to hear from Adam that they were talking about an intervention, about maybe recording Lori, saying these things and taking those recordings to the stake president, or just confronting the stake president about it. They didn't have an exact.
Now, here's where I really find a disconnect, and this is one of the things that I don't like about LDS. Instead of going to the proper authorities, they were going to go to the president of the church. Now, from my understanding, you kind of have local bishops. It's kind of like a home church sort of thing. So you have little home churches that go from a bishop to, I know it's not a cardinal, but all the bishops go up to a president for some reason. So instead of going to the police, they were going to go to the bishop. And I just find that, again, not culturally, I wasn't raised in the LDS faith. So maybe that would be my first inclination if I was. Thank you, Danny T. Bishop to stake presidency. So, I haven't been raised in it. So maybe if I were, but outside looking in, it does seem like a really odd thing to go to the church president before going to the police.
Plan. But on July 9th, Adam agreed to fly to Phoenix to help try to.
Yes, I know Charles did try.
The president, get her back into this faith. Ultimately, Adam flew to Phoenix on the 10th, as did Charles. Adam will tell you that he actually, when he got his reservation on the 9th from Charles, reached out to his brother, Alex. He asked to stay with him. And Alex said, sure. You'll see phone records. They had a conversation about it. But when Adam flew into Phoenix on the 10th, remember, that's after that message by Lori that he needed to stay close to her. Adam tried texting his brother. Adam tried calling his brother. And Alex didn't respond.
Okay, I know this is probably off color, and maybe some siblings have like that ride or die, like that absolute like Bonnie and Clyde sort of thing. But Alex Cox and Lori's relationship has always creeped me the F out. Like full body willies want to scrub off the top layer of my skin kind of ick. Like, it's pure speculation. Again, take everything I say with 900 pounds of salt. But there has always been something very, very ugh about their relationship. Like too close for comfort. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but it always just icked me out to the nth degree.
Adam didn't know that his brother Alex had been summoned to help his sister Lori be like Nephi. That it was time to kill Charles.
Jedi Jess, as you know, sometimes I wonder if I human the same as most humans, so I do have to bounce off ideas with you guys.
The text messages from Lori to Alex about that intervention that she knew about and being like Nephi show that by the evening of July 9th of 2019, Lori knew that Charles was trying to have an intervention. In that text message, remember, she said they are trying to have an intervention. She knew it was Charles and others. She also told her brother he had to stay close for the next couple days because she knew that she was going to be seeing Charles on the 11th when he came over to pick up their son, JJ, to take him to school. She told him, it's all coming to a head this week. I will be like Nephi, I am told, and so will you. A few minutes after Lori had texted Alex that message on July 9th that they were going to be like Nephi, Alex called his sister Lori, and they talked for over 56 minutes, planning how they were going to get rid of Charles. Alex would stay close with his gun, and he and Lori would be like Nephi. July 10th of 2019 is a day before Charles was killed.
I mean, if I were going to pick any Bible character I'd like Lori to be like, it'd be Jonah, and then she'd be swallowed by a giant whale. And then go, actually follow directions, then go live and have his only shade eaten by a worm. Look, I never really got that story, nor did I ever really know that he actually finally went to the town that he was supposed to, and then got tortured some more until I was older and read the entire story. But if I have to pick any Bible character for Lori to be, it's Jonah.
We know from text messages that by 7:18 p.m., Alex was already at Lori's house. He brought a garbage bag with some clothes and an orange duffel bag with his .45 caliber handgun and 2 extra magazines of ammunition. He was prepared. We also know that the evening of July 10th, Charles sent a message to Lori letting her know that he would be over at 7:30 a.m. the next day to pick up JJ, to take him to school. Lori and Alex knew exactly when this murder would happen and where it would happen. They just had to make sure that Charles stayed in the house. You'll hear that on the evening of July 10th, Charles spent his last night alive on a date. He had been on several dating apps and appeared to be moving on. You will hear from his date, Nancy Jo, that she and Charles had met on an LDS dating site a few days before. You will hear that she had talked to him and texted him for hours. Sometimes they would talk for 3 hours on the phone.
Poor Charles, who finally meets a good woman, then Lori has to crap spackle all over it. Damn it, Lori. Well, that's like I said, everyone I've met that's LDS has been super sweet. They just look, it's like I told my husband, he is so excited he's retired right now that he's got all this energy and he woke up in a chipper mood. And I had to kindly but gently explain to him, sweetheart, I love you from the depths of my soul. And I wish to God that God had made me happy about your chipper attitude. But right now, I want you to stop talking. It is 7 a.m. And I get your chipper pep. I am so happy for you. But if you don't tone it down a little bit, bad stuff's gonna I was just like, look, sir, I'm just trying to wake up. And I'm like, you are a little too happy and it's pissing me off, which is bad because I should be happy for him. But oh my gosh, it was just like, you are too peppy for your safety right now, sir.
Nancy Jo will tell you that Charles told her about everything of his relationship, his wife's beliefs, everything that was going on. And he had told her about this change to the beneficiary of his life insurance. She will tell you it sounded like a lot of drama, but she still was interested and wanted to meet this person. And so they met that evening for dinner. She'll tell you that she understood on the 11th that Charles would be picking up his son, that he was actually going to meet a realtor about finding a place to rent here so he could be closer to JJ, and that he was going to try to get in touch with Adam to meet up. And then they were supposed to meet later in the day. She will also tell you that she actually told Charles, kind of joking, but in a way to end the drama, why don't you just tell Lori that you changed the life insurance policy so she knows it's not her? Nancy Jo will tell you the next day, she texted Charles, she called him, and she actually thought he had ghosted her. She didn't know he was dead until a few months later when she saw something on the news, a photo of him, and actually learned that he had been killed on July 11th. So let's talk about July 11th. That morning, Lori Vallow was up early and she was texting with Chad Daybell. You'll learn that we do not have those texts.
Wait a minute. Is it a miracle among courtrooms? Is this a sign of divine intervention in the Lord's love for us court viewers? Is she perhaps wearing a magical, an intractable, an actual GD lapel mic? Praise be the audio court gods, for someone has figured a lapel mic out.
Text messages. They were not saved in the iCloud, but we have them from the phone records. Alex was already at Lori's house with his gun, and everyone knew that Charles was a punctual person and would be there around 7:30 to pick up JJ so he could get to school. You're going to learn that, like many people, Charles had left his GPS data locating service on his phone. So that means when his phone is moving around, it was constantly documenting with GPS the location of the phone. During this trial, you're
Okay, but how long to die in cold? That phrase is going to haunt me.
actually going to see this data mapped out. You'll be able to see Charles come to the house, and then you're going to see his phone leave with the defendant and what she does all day with it. What we know is that Charles arrived at Lori's house at about 7:35. He texted Adam Cox and told him that Alex, or Al, is here. You'll see from photos that Alex's truck was parked in the driveway. Adam responded, "Really, I wonder why he never called me back." Charles didn't respond to that. Adam then texted, "They're planning something." And Charles responded, "Absolutely." Adam told Charles, "I was supposed to spend the night at his house last night. She probably blocked that." Charles told Adam, "What you do is up to you." Adam then told Charles he was going to reach out to Alex and ask him to come get him and see what Alex would do. And in fact, he did text his brother. You'll learn that Charles read that text message from Adam, but he didn't respond. Adam sent one more text message to Charles at 7:49 a.m. on July 11th. He told him that he and his son were going to go play.
I so wish that Charles had said, "Hey, Lori, you're going to need to meet me in a public place." Again, with all of these warning signs, I wish that, not that I think that Charles was overconfident, but I do think there's a confidence that comes from being an established man, a business leader, and a fairly physically fit, person. I think there was maybe a bit of confidence that he could take on anything that Lori dished out. Now, I will tell you guys, this is actually going to be only an hour stream because I didn't realize how close to 4 we are and everyone is getting ready. So let's try to get more of this done. I didn't realize that I paused so much, to be honest.
Play basketball at 8 p.m. to look for a specific church leader who was usually there and have a conversation with him. Charles Vallow never read that message, but you will learn that Lori and Alex did. Charles went to the front door of 5531 South Four Peaks Place, a house that he had rented for his wife, Lori Vallow, a house that he paid for. Charles would have had to knock on the door, alerting Lori and Alex that he was there. He got JJ, put him out in the car. And then Lori Vallow created the reason to keep Charles from just leaving with JJ. Lori Vallow wanted to stop this intervention. Lori Vallow wanted to stop Charles and Adam from trying to take her temple recommend away. Lori Vallow, who wanted to be Lori Daybell, and Lori Vallow, who wanted Charles's money. So Lori took Charles's cell phone, and she refused to give it back. Lori Vallow, or Lori Daybell, whatever name you want to call her by, is why Charles didn't just leave with JJ that morning. Lori Vallow is why Alex was able to shoot Charles. Lori Vallow is why Charles is dead. I want to tell you a little bit about the scene, this house, so you can understand what's happening here. When you walk in the front door, there's a big room. It was empty, no furniture. There were mirrors on 2 of the walls, windows on a 3rd wall, and the 4th wall had doorways going into the kitchen and a hallway off to the bedrooms. This is where Charles Vallow was killed. This is where Alex Cox shot him 2 times. The first shot to Charles Vallow was to his chest. It exited out his back. Charles Vallow fell to the ground. He put his left hand to this wound and blood transferred onto it. You will hear from the medical examiner that this shot went through his heart and that a person can take seconds to up to 2 minutes to die from that type of wound. You will hear that a person can still talk and move after they're shot in the heart. And we know Charles was able to move since he put his dominant left hand on his chest and transferred that blood to his hand. You will see that. As Charles lay on the floor of 5531 South Four Peaks Place, Alex Cox stood at his feet and fired a second shot. That shot entered his abdomen and it exited his left shoulder. The angle was significantly upward. Dr. Baumgartner, who is the medical examiner, will tell you that this wound was shored. You will learn that shored means that there was something hard behind that wound. So when the bullet exited, it caused a different tearing pattern than the other wound that exited Charles's back. It is this shored wound, this exit on Charles's left shoulder, that shows us that there was nothing accidental about this second shot.
Okay, so this is what I've been waiting for. Sorry, Mr. Moe is mowing for, again, he's like, oh, you're going to be streaming? I'll go out and mow. We need to have a serious sit down about what quietness means, for the love of Cheeto. Anywho, this is kind of what I've been waiting for, to really hear what took this investigation from a self-defense, which admittedly looked like the non-self-defensiest self-defense. But if there is, as we've learned, a scintilla of evidence that it could be, self-defense, they're allowed to bring it in. That being said, this does make sense to me, and I hate that I have to leave in about 10 minutes. I will probably, depending on Mother's Day plans, which I forgot tomorrow is Mother's Day. So, of course, gotta love time blindness and ADHD. For some reason, I'm like, May is like 10 years from now, and it's today. That being said, let's continue.
You will learn from the cell phone that at 7:49, Lori left her house with Charles's cell phone, his wallet, his rental car, and JJ and Tylee. She drove to Burger King, Walgreens, dropped JJ off at school before she and her daughter Tylee drove back to the house. During this time, while Lori is driving around in Charles's car with his phone, she spoke with her brother Alex twice. The first call was at 7:52 a.m., 3 minutes after she left. The second call was at 8:06 a.m., 17 minutes after she left. You will hear that when Alex and Lori are talking, neither of them had called 911 yet. In fact, you will hear that Alex didn't call 911 until 47 minutes after Lori left. Charles Vallow lay dead on the floor of that house for 47 minutes before he called 911. During this 47 minutes, Alex began staging the scene and making mistakes. You're going to learn that the police found a bat that was located on the right side of Charles to the north of his head. Like he had been holding it, and when he was shot, it fell, it dropped, it rolled up against one of the...
Hey, Alex Cox, you dumbass. He's lefty. He's a lefty. I don't know why. So these two Pinky and the Brain morons, that negate intelligent design and the further evolution of humanity, decided that they were going to put the bat in the wrong hand. It's almost like Lori didn't pay attention when she was married to Charles. Or Alex wasn't paying attention when he was creepily watching his sister through the blinds, and she was, when she was married to Charles.
The walls that had mirrors on it. What you're going to learn that is Alex forgot that Charles was left-handed. In fact, you're going to learn that Charles was a semi-professional baseball player. He pitched and he batted left-handed. So
that's the part of this that I've never understood, why it took so long for Lori and Alex to get charges against them. Because this man was a semi-pro. And you're telling me he took a whiff at Alex's head, which again, I would pay money to see if he weren't, off this mortal coil. That being said, there is no way in Hades that Alex just caught a little itty bitter boo-boo on the back of his head. Like they couldn't even see it. But Lori just went, hee, I'm sorry. I don't know what happened. My husband died and it's the first week we've been moving here. And the cops just went from regular cops to Yuri Buchanan levels of stupid.
That was on the wrong side. Next, you're going to hear about an injury to Alex himself. Lori had told police that Charles hit Alex in the head with this bat before Alex shot Charles. Classic self-defense. But in all cases, we must look at the physical evidence because it doesn't lie. And the physical evidence doesn't have a bias or a memory loss. Sometimes it's the lack of physical evidence that doesn't lie. So again, we know that this room where Charles was shot had no furniture, mirrors, 2 walls. You learn that although Lori claimed that Charles hit Alex with that bat and then Alex shot him in self-defense, that Alex's gun had no blood transferred on it. Alex was allegedly struck in the head with a bat by a semi-professional baseball player. Doesn't go unconscious, and he never touches that injury. Pulls out a gun, is able to shoot this man twice, and then he takes the gun down a hallway, puts it into a room. Never apparently touching his head or this wound. And again, Lori says that Alex was hit with the bat in this room by Charles. But again, what we don't see is any blood on the floor. Charles strikes Alex in the head with a bat. They're grappling on the ground. There's not a single drop of blood on the ground in that room. There's pooling of blood around Charles as he lay there on the ground.
No, I'm actually in Mr. Moe's room. He spent all morning, as much as I wish he wasn't mowing, he spent all morning crawling through the attic, wiring. So he wanted to do a dual switch. Look, I don't understand electrical magic, but he was able to do a dual switch on the new closet he's making for my room. So as much as I am a little like, why are you mowing when I need quiet? He has worked his behind off and is going to be working his behind off despite being retired to really finish my room. So as much as I complain, he's actually a really good, husband, and he went into the hot attic. So got to give him props.
There's not a drop of blood going down the hallway to where Alex put the gun. There's not a drop of blood in the room where Alex put that gun. There's not a drop of blood on the floor in the kitchen where Alex went to go wash his hands. There are no towels, sheets, clothing, napkins with blood on them where Alex was holding his head and trying to stop this bleeding from this injury.
Dan Davis, got to go now. Have a happy Mother's Day to all mothers and those fathers that are playing both roles. Absolutely. And before I leave, I hope you all, and to mothers of angels, to mothers who never got to hold their babies, you guys are in my prayers too. I know Mother's Day tomorrow is going to be exceptionally hard for those that are struggling with, fertility, who are struggling with infant and, child loss. And they're not always mentioned. And it just is on my heart this year to really, give credit to those mothers who never got to be moms either, because, they're just important. Those babies were just as real. So from one mama to another, even if you didn't get to hold your angel, you're still mama in my book. And so you deserve a happy Mother's Day too. But I know it's going to be hard for a lot of people. People who've lost their mothers, people who maybe have strained relationships. So, I hope tomorrow is a day of happiness and healing. And if you need to take a break tomorrow, I may be able to do a Petty Express. Okay, this is going to sound awful, y'all, but my favorite Mother's Days. Okay, this is a terrible confession, but my favorite Mother's Day is when Mr. Mo takes all of the lovely, sweet, but exceptionally loud boy children and lets me get just a couple hours by myself. They love making me breakfast. They love all of that. And I love that they love to do that and want to show me love. But honestly, Mother's Day for me is like, can I get 5? Like, I just want 2 hours in the bathtub all by myself, and I'm going to read something completely ridiculous on Kindle. Again, some moms like big, expensive stuff. Some people show love differently. Some people like to go to restaurants, but that's kind of my Mother's Day plan tomorrow is I might just, sit in my foot bath and cross stitch. I cannot wait to get into my new studio, you guys, because I will have, so I'm thinking of Mo in the craft, because I will have daily videos of what I'm working on craft wise, cross stitch wise, diamond painting wise, but in my new studio, I'll have a table set up so I can actually do that from my very new comfy chair that we're going to be getting, which is A dream come true because I am not going to lie. I have yet to find a comfy chair that is really comfortable for me, no matter how much we seem to spend. So we actually, I went to a store, which again, inside cat, found a really cool chair. And Mr. Mo has drawn up plans to make a desk to go over it. So we are cooking with gasoline now. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. And happy birthday to Veilhammer. He is not here with us this weekend because, I finally remembered stuff. But thank you guys so much. And I am sending you over to, who am I sending you? I'm sending you over to Vice Baby. He is doing a Thursday Maritime Monday, a second parter. So, go over there, show him some love. Yes, I did. So it's a pricey chair, but it's one that has heating and it puts you in it, you can go zero gravity and help you stand up. And honest to goodness, it was like the comfiest thing I have ever sat in. I mean, Mr. Mo almost had to bring like a crowbar because I was like, I'm not leaving the store. You can't make me. I'm gonna sit here till you buy it. But yeah, so we're gonna double check, go back, check this chair, and then it's on like Donkey Kong. Mr. Mo is so excited he gets to work on construction-y stuff, and we are gonna learn how to work together as a team, like Chip and Joanna, without the shiplap. Bye, you guys.